Imagine this for a moment. A single nation decides to do what no empire in modern history has ever successfully done, not just dominate, but control an entire hemisphere. From the icy cities of Canada, to the dense jungles of Brazil, to the towering peaks of the Andes. One flag, one power, one attempt to rule it all. That nation? The United States. On paper, it sounds almost inevitable. The U.S. commands the most advanced military ever assembled. Its defense budget outpaces entire alliances. Its navy patrols every ocean. Its satellites see everything. Its logistics machine can move war across the planet faster than any force in history. So naturally, a question emerges. Could the United States actually conquer all of North and South America? At first glance, yes. But conquest isn't just about winning battles. It's about holding ground, controlling people, and surviving the consequences. And that's where everything begins to fall apart. The illusion of victory winning a war is fast. Occupation is forever. Military doctrine suggests something simple, but terrifying. To control a population, you need about 20 soldiers per 1,000 civilians. Now think about that. Outside the United States, the Americas are home to over 660 million people. To maintain order, you'd need roughly 13 million troops. The U.S. military, even with reserves, doesn't come close. Not even half. Not even a third. And technology, no matter how advanced, cannot replace human presence. Drones can watch. Satellites can track. AI can analyze. But none of them can stand at a checkpoint. None of them can patrol a street. None of them can calm a frightened population or stop an uprising face to face. So the real question isn't, can the U.S. win? It's, can it stay? Phase 1. Canada falls. But doesn't surrender. The campaign would begin in the north. Canada, vast, wealthy, but lightly defended. Its population clusters tightly along the U.S. border. Cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal sit within reach. In a rapid offensive, American forces could likely seize these urban centers quickly. Air superiority would be overwhelming. Armored units would move fast. Command structures would be disrupted early. But that's only the beginning. Because once the cities fall, the country doesn't. Canada's north becomes a nightmare. Frozen. Isolated. Endless. A place where control doesn't exist, only survival. Small resistance groups could vanish into the wilderness, then strike supply lines when least expected. And politically, Canada wouldn't fracture cleanly. Some regions might cooperate. Others would resist fiercely. What begins as a fast operation turns into a long occupation. One that bleeds time, resources, and attention. Phase 2. Mexico, where war never ends if Canada is a cold challenge. Mexico is fire. A conventional invasion? That part is easy. The U.S. dominates the skies. Key infrastructure falls quickly. Major cities become surrounded. But then, everything changes. Because Mexico doesn't just have an army. It has networks. Cartels, already operating like paramilitary forces, would transform overnight. Rivals become allies. Enemies become organized. And suddenly, the battlefield isn't defined by borders. It's everywhere. Urban streets, rural highways, hidden tunnels, civilian neighborhoods. These groups know the terrain. They know the people. They know how to disappear. Convoys get ambushed. Explosives line the roads. Attacks come without warning. And then there's Mexico City, a mega city of over 20 million people. Controlling it? Nearly impossible. Every block becomes a risk. Every building a potential threat. Meanwhile, back home, the U.S. economy starts to feel it. Supply chains break. Manufacturing slows. Food systems strain. Because Mexico isn't just a neighbor. It's a critical economic partner. And now, it's a battlefield. Phase 3. Central America. The trap corridor on a map. Central America looks simple. A narrow stretch connecting two continents. In reality, it's a natural fortress. Mountains rise unpredictably. Jungles swallow visibility. Heat drains energy. Infrastructure is limited. Every road becomes a choke point. Every bridge becomes a target. Ambushes become routine. Even maintaining bases becomes dangerous. Airstrips, fuel depots, supply hubs, all require constant protection. And then, the global stage shifts. External powers begin to quietly intervene. Not openly. Not directly. But enough. Weapons appear. Intelligence flows. Advisors arrive. Just enough to slow everything down. Because in modern warfare, you don't have to win. You just have to make victory too expensive. The canal problem, then comes one of the most critical assets on Earth, the Panama Canal. Control it, and you control movement between oceans. Lose it, and your entire strategy fractures. But holding it, that's another challenge entirely. Sabotage becomes a constant threat. Cyber attacks target operations. Blockages can halt global shipping overnight. And now, the U.S. doesn't just have to defend it. It has to run it. Permanently. The Caribbean complication at sea, the U.S. dominates. Carrier groups control the waters. Blockades isolate nations. Many Caribbean countries would likely cooperate. But then comes a problem few consider: European territory. French and Dutch islands aren't just islands. They're extensions of Europe. Attacking them risks triggering international consequences. And suddenly, this isn't just a regional war anymore. It's global. South America. Where geography fights back, there is no easy way into South America. The Darien Gap, a brutal stretch of jungle and swamp, blocks land movement completely. No highways. No armored columns. No simple path forward. The U.S. would be forced into amphibious and airborne invasions. More risk. More cost. More complexity. And once inside, the continent fights back. The Andes, nature's fortress. The Andes Mountains stretch like a wall across the continent. High altitudes cripple performance. Helicopters struggle to lift. Engines lose efficiency. Soldiers battle exhaustion and sickness. Even elite units slow down. Defenders gain the advantage. And countries like Bolivia? They become nearly unbreakable. Landlocked. Elevated. Difficult. If they choose to destroy infrastructure rather than lose it, the invader gains nothing but empty land. Brazil, the breaking point. Eventually, everything leads to Brazil. Massive. Industrial. Relentless. And home to one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, the Amazon rainforest. This isn't just terrain. It's resistance itself. Visibility drops. Equipment fails. Disease spreads. Operations slow to a crawl. And then come the cities. Sao Paulo. Rio de Janeiro. Millions of people. Dense urban environments. Complex social networks. Criminal groups already operate like localized armies. Policing them would require an enormous presence, one the U.S. simply doesn't have. Even at sea, Brazil complicates things. Its submarine fleet forces constant vigilance. Resources get stretched thinner, and thinner, and thinner. The invisible war, but the greatest threat isn't any army. It's everything else. Logistics. Every mile stretches supply lines. Fuel, ammo, medicine, spare parts, all moving through hostile territory. Every road needs protection. Every convoy becomes a target. Then comes the economy. The U.S. depends heavily on resources from the very regions it's fighting: oil, food, minerals. Disrupt those, and you weaken yourself. Add sanctions, add war spending, add instability. And suddenly, the strongest economy in the world starts to crack. The war at home, and while all of this unfolds abroad, something else happens at home. Tension rises. Millions of Americans have deep ties to Latin America. Families, culture, identity. Protests grow. Political divisions widen. Internal security becomes another battlefield. Resources get split. Focus weakens. And slowly, the war stops being about expansion and becomes about survival. So how does this story end? There are only three realistic outcomes. 1. Total conquest. The U.S. defeats every army, controls every nation. But it can't hold them. Not enough troops. Not enough money. Not enough time. Resistance never ends. 2. Fortress North America. The U.S. secures Canada, occupies Mexico and Central America, controls key strategic points. It wins technically, but at a cost: permanent resistance, generations of resentment, a divided hemisphere. 3. Quagmire and withdrawal. The most likely outcome: the U.S. advances, wins battles, spends heavily, then gets stuck. Mexico, the Andes, the jungle. Progress slows, costs rise, pressure builds, and eventually, it pulls back, weaker than before, while other global powers step in to reshape the region. The final truth: so, could the United States conquer the Americas? Militarily? Yes. It could defeat every army it faces. But conquest isn't about destroying enemies. It's about controlling people. And people don't surrender easily. They resist. They adapt. They endure. And in the end, the question isn't whether a nation can take land. It's whether it can hold it forever. Because history has shown one thing again and again: the moment an empire believes it can control everything is the moment it begins to lose it all.